Hi. Welcome to Curators of the Past and into the Future. Can you start by introducing yourself to our followers and viewers and what have you?
All the people. So I'm Camille Usher. I also go by Camille Georgeson Usher. I was born and raised on Galiano Island, BC, which is just off the coast of Vancouver. I moved to Montreal when I was, I think in 2010, I believe, to do my undergrad, and then I did my master's. Also at Concordia, and I moved to Toronto a few years ago to do my PhD at Queen's. And kind of at the same time, I started working at what was the ACC, but started as the director of programming, and am now the executive director of the Indigenous Curatorial Collective. And yeah, that's kind of me in short. I suppose, like my Indigenous nations, I'm Coast Salish, a mix of many nations, and then also Dene.
Great. Thank you, Camille. So the first question that I'm starting off with asking everyone is, who do you find to be the most exciting curators to follow, and how do you go about following them so then others that are listening to this can follow as well?
Yeah, I I like Emma, who I just watched her video. I have so many, like it's so hard. Basically follow like every one of our board members because they're all superstars.
Yeah.
But something that I thought about that is more specific to my personal practice is just kind of thinking about public space, both exterior and interior space in different ways. So the first thing that I thought about that was an exhibition that made me go like, oh my gosh, anything is possible, was BoarderX by Jaime and Julie Nagaam. It just like, it totally blew my mind. The fact that they were working within this like very large institution, but then transformed the opening kind of entryway into a skate park it was just revolutionary for me, and it made me see that like anything is possible with curatorial practice. Like, you can bring together so many different things and then also make a museum that often doesn't feel like comfortable or accessible for a wide variety of people, that people that just want to skate could just like come to the museum and go skate. Like that was just incredible to me.
It's so funny because Emma and I like did my interview and I brought up BoarderX as well, and like just being like, Jaime, it's amazing, like board culture within like gallery spaces and museum spaces. I love the fact that we're both highlighting it though.
So good. It was just so good.
It was amazing. It was like the first time that I've seen like those boundaries cut too, because like so often like I saw it in St. John's in Newfoundland at the Rooms, and like they have like a huge parking lot that like usually you're not allowed anywhere near, like museum parking lots as a skateboarder, and like they had like demonstrations out there and like just like inviting people in, and that was amazing.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But even like with that, just kind of the way that they both work, like how they have used so many of their exhibitions to completely transform the space. So, like having an opening that brings together performance and, just how they think about the space and bringing in different sounds and different textures into these like very, I guess, stagnant structures. I'm trying to put it nicely. I love that. So I think that they were the first ones that I thought of immediately. But there's like a lot of different projects that I'm really interested in. And so the second person that I thought of is Emily Johnson. And she's Yupik. She lives in New York City, and she's a choreographer and dancer. So not kind of what we imagine as a traditional curator, but what she's been doing since 2017 is basically creating these gatherings where people come together in New York, and it's around a fire, and it's different every time, but basically it'll just bring together people who perform, who dance, who tell stories. And it's another way that quite an oppressive space. New York City is a very intense colonial place. So
Mm-hmm.
how you can use this kind of way of bringing people and things and practices together is just, it's really interesting to me. And then Emily and I are kind of working on a project together where we're thinking about gathering in many different forms. So I really love that. And I love that this is the type of curation that we often don't talk about as curation. And that's really what I'm interested in, is just kind of the many different aspects to what curation can be,
Mm-hmm.
and how we can think about it in different ways. But that also kind of brought me to thinking about more public space, like exterior public space, and less, again, of curation, but the garden that Wyss made in Vancouver, where, in this very small kind of alleyway type thing, like where a building should have been, she created this amazing garden. And it was done in, collaboration, working with youth and all this kind of stuff. But just creating like this really beautiful oasis in the city.
Mm-hmm.
People walking by might not expect that. And that's kind of what I like about curation, I think, is when you walk into a space, or when you walk past like a public space, how it changes your perception of that space, but also how it might change somebody's day. And I think this is why, like, I'm a public artist, I'm a street artist. So I like to think about how, when you're walking through a city, how a city might be curated, and how it can make people feel more comfortable in a city. So that's why I like Cease's piece.
Nice.
Mhm.
I'll have to look that piece up. I haven't seen it before.
It's incredible. You'll really like it because you like plants.
I love plants. Love plants, love gardens. Love the changing of spaces too, especially when like it can change someone's day, but I think it can also like change like what can happen in a space, like the ideas of what can happen in a space open up, because you can see like, oh, this person like imagined this and just like created it.
Totally. But she like also like, I mean, she's an artist and an ethnobotanist, and and she does so many things.
Yeah.
But she did so much research on like, and she's also from the territory, like all these things, but bringing plants back that are meant to be there, like that have always been there. So creating a garden that is actually benefiting the traditional ecosystem of that land, like, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing. My next question is, who would you love to collaborate with on a curation project? Or just like a project, because like I think that in all of these sort of interviews that we've done, curation has really expanded into just like a broad idea of like what that can mean, or what we think it means.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to sound so nerdy. But I'm not going to lie. My dream curation project is working with Camille, who also works with us.
Aw, so cute.
It's so nerdy. Because what they did was they created a street art festival in Montreal that brought together folks that aren't often included in like wider street art practices. So Indigenous women, Indigenous, trans, queer, broader than that, just like people who often aren't represented in a city, and created like a festival, or I think they really more call it like a convergence. So this kind of coming together of voices and bodies, and creating art, but also doing performance and just being together in a community. And so I feel like as two street artists with kind of different practices, like Camille does a lot of wheat paste kinds of things, and I'm more of like an installation artist. So I like to work with like plants and creating bead installations in public spaces. So I feel like it would be really fun.
I would love to see it personally. I think it'd be really cool.
One day when we have time.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, my last question is, what are you most excited about for the future of Indigenous curation, BIPOC curation, or yeah, just like projects to see in the future?
I feel like some of the initiatives for like public art in cities, so the city of Toronto, for example, where I'm living, they're doing a year of public art next year, and have done a lot of work kind of, putting together projects and calls for this. That is interesting to me, just as kind of being able to be part of conversations about what a city that is covered in art might look like, and how that process might unfold. So that is really interesting to me. But what I think is more, I don't know, more future thinking is just how the city itself can be the canvas for the histories of that land. So I like to think about, um, Toronto, for example, what it would mean for the city to be embellished in public art that represents a land so fully. So you can't walk through the city without being able to recognize that history, because um, the city has been curated with the symbols and with the stories, um, of the land specifically. So I think that that's something that I really want to see, and I really want to see cities engage more in the visual identity of the city in public facing spaces.
Hmm.
So on the exterior of the gallery, instead of having to go into the gallery, so that you can recognize a part of yourself in a building before you have to go into this like very colonial structure.
Hmm.
Mm, and I think that it could change a lot of people's lives. Like,
Yeah.
just living in cities, living um, not even in like a big city like Toronto, but living in smaller communities, having art presented publicly. I think uh, I I hope that we see a lot more of that in the future, and I feel like we will. Um, but that's kind of what I hope to see, and I I feel like cities are going to catch on, and I hope that Toronto kind of sets the stage for what curating public art can be, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And like, um, taking that, like, or putting it into more of like a collective feel too, and like not just like I just remember like Vancouver 2010 just like exploding with artwork, but a lot of it uh not fully representative of like the nations, and very commercial in a lot of ways. um and I just think that like, yeah, having more of it, because they kind of just like stopped after that. Like Vancouver is like, okay, the Olympics are done, like we're out of money.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like they have a couple street art festivals, and I can't remember the name of it. It's really bad of me. I have a horrible memory with names.
It's like the
Um,
mural, Vancouver Mural Fest.
Yeah, I think it's
Love them.
basic as that. But they rarely have Indigenous folks from the territory leading the charge, let alone just like included as artists in the roster.
Hmm.
So I feel like a city that can actively engage in um, the very complex conversations that we're having as Indigenous communities in solidarity with Black communities that, also work and exist here with us in similar narratives. I think that would change the world. And I think it would um, just present a different history for people that don't have to confront it on an everyday basis, that we have to confront on an everyday basis, just in the nature of our body.
Hmm.
Uh, but a lot of people that aren't racialized don't have to see it in their everyday. And I think that if people had the opportunity or were surrounded by our narratives, it would create more opportunities for these conversations. I'm not saying it would like end racism, but at least it could be a place where that might start to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope this comes true because it sounds like beautiful and very much needed for sure.
One day.
One day. Well, thanks so much for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun. I'm very excited about these stories and conversations.
Yeah, they've
So,
been really fun to to do.
yeah.
Everyone has like very similar but different um, inspirations and like ideas for the future. It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Well, thank you. This has been really great.
Perfect.